You're checking out Battleline Podcast, hosted by Chris Peranto and myself, Ian Scotto, where we interview some of the best names in special operations, military, as well as people related to the field, and sometimes just other people on that we find interesting. This is our special two-part Q&A episode, and before we get into everything, we have to let you know about our newest sponsor, who we are so excited to have on board with us long-term, and that is none other than Photonis Defense. Photonis Defense is the global leader in night vision solutions, providing more high-quality night vision capabilities than anyone. Hunters, shooters, boaters, and outdoor enthusiasts rely on Photonis Defense systems to make their adventures safer and more successful. Military, law enforcement, and public safety end users utilize Photonis Defense solutions to give them the edge at night in tactical situations and rescue operations. Photonis Defense is now offering state-of-the-art night vision systems. From the PD Pro B 16mm binocular and the PD Pro M 16mm monocular to the PD Pro Q panoramic night vision system, customers from all over are excited about these new, smaller, lighter NVGs. You have got to see these things to really experience how much smaller and lighter they are than anything you have used previously. And so many guys in the special operations community are utilizing this. So a lot of you, in the private sector and the public sector and just users of night vision in general are going to love what they're doing. Visit photonisdefense.com for more information. Link is in description, but that's PHOTONIS defense.com, or look for the Photonis Defense product options from your night vision dealer. Check them out. We're really proud to have them on board, and we love what they do. There are going to be some videos on the horizon that'll show you the capability of what Photonis is doing. With that, let's get right into it.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on, motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline Podcast.
The switch is on. The switch is on. The switch is on.
Oh my!
The switch is on. I was just thinking about that song.
Why
you know what I'm thinking of, right? The heat is on.
Why? I know what you did. You remember? That's what I grew up.
You definitely grew up.
Yeah, that's fucking Glenn Fry, man. I didn't know it was Glenn Fry. If you don't know who Glenn Fry is and you're 50, something's wrong with you. Definitely.
When you said the switch is on, maybe it was subliminally inspired by it, of the heat is on.
Why did I say that?
It was because I still remember, actually. I'm good with remembering this stuff.
No, but
had Nate Boyer.
But I remember I used to think that, though. That's why I said it. But I don't know. It had to have come from something. Yeah, it had to have come from something, some pop culture, something I saw, maybe on Miami Vice. I'm dating myself, something like that. Because you're talking about Glenn Fry and I know that's where in Eagles and all that, but he was huge, Miami Vice, and he was actually in the show every once in a while. I loved watching Miami Vice back in the day.
I think you invented the switches on, though, because if I Google it, remember there was like
that's
there's like a gay porn.
Yeah,
there's nothing like mainstream with the switches on. I think you created it.
Maybe it was a gay porn thing. I don't know.
Like maybe that's very good. No, but if I think we are the most popular thing with the switches on, because I'm just going to see if I Google switches on. Let's see. If I Google switches on, I see some electric company. All right.
Electric Company. I used to watch Electric Company. I love that.
That's it, man. I think we created it.
Yep, we did. Just say it. We did.
Or you created it.
Well, it could be just me, but it's we created it. We did.
And then I see 1985, The Switches On was a movie, but I think it was
no, I didn't know that.
As we say, straight to video. I don't think it was like on the silver screen. A naive young farm boy, Stryker, goes to the big city to find his fortune, and en route has many bisexual encounters.
Yeah, that probably wasn't. that wasn't me.
With that, I mean, I guess we'll get right into it. We have a ton of great questions from you guys sent to battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. We don't get the opportunity to do this very often. And I shuffled them all up. I mean, they're really all over the place. We had questions from, totally different perspectives. So yeah, I guess we'll get right into it. And I'll try to keep track of how many we're doing and pace this out, since this will be a two-part extravaganza here. So the first one, Ian and Tonto, I'll keep this short and sweet. Thank you for finally producing a podcast with a no bullshit approach to not only politics, but life, parenthood, and marriage. Ian/Tonto, do you have any contacts in the broader SF community, perhaps SASR, 3 RAR, or OS 2 CDO? Yeah. It would be great to hear the differences in experience and service. Tonto, thank you for your service and sacrifice. Even in Australia, we stand with you. Wishing you both the best of health. And that's Chris Barrier from Queensland, Australia. And he says, P.S. There's plenty of rum, running tracks, and beaches in Bundaberg. Happy to show you guys the ropes. Chris Barrier. Wow. Awesome email. And it's really an honor when we hear that not only are people listening in all 50 states, but Australia.
Yeah. I did work. I did. Well, if you went to Australia, I did go through jump school with some of the Australian. They weren't SAS though. It was jump school was in the early days, and 1995 early days for me. And I think it was just as regular Army, their infantry people. I think that was it. But it was what was weird to me is their uniforms back in the 90s, and he would know what I'm talking about. They look like balloons. Their camis were balloons. I thought it was it really literally to me looked like a clown outfit, because it had all these circles all over it, and that was their camo. And I was like, who the fuck are these guys? And I had just graduated basic training. I was new to the Army for the most part. Granted, I'd been through basic, but right to airborne school. So that was cool. But as far as me getting relationships with them, no, I was just a young private. I didn't dare talk to them. I just thought their uniforms were hilarious. But we'll get him on the show. I just got to remember his name. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank though. We worked at Blackwater before. He was an Aussie SAS. He was one of the lead instructors on the black shirt side of the house. So we had instructors at Blackwater. You had high threat protection instructors. Then you had the Gen Pop instructors, which guys that just took general classes, but also taught, law enforcement and so forth. So, and he was on that side, and I can't remember his name, but we should have him on. If I can remember his name and locate him, which it shouldn't be too hard as soon as my brain recalibrates. But have him on the show to get a different perspective of the Aussie SAS. As far as me serving and working with them in the Rangers, no, worked with British SAS, and then I worked with MI5 and also former British SAS when I was with GRS. In fact, one of my best GRS instructors when I went through the qualification course was a British SAS guy. They would come and we'd cross-train each other. And I had a Royal Marine named Mo that went through the course with me when I originally became GRS. Tremendous guy, huge, and he looked like a Mo. He was big as fuck. He had a bald head. And I love the way they cuss, because whenever people in the UK cuss, it sounds proper. So I remember there's an episode. I'm going in a rabbit hole. We got a lot of questions.
It's cool, yeah.
But I do remember we were going through the driving. The final stage is you go through a final FTX to qualify. So you've gone through all the shooting qualifications. I mean, you've basically been going through 2.5 weeks of shooting, tactical drills, and then they grade you, or you get graded based off your shooting. Your shooting. No pun intended, your shooting caliber, how well you do on the shooting quals. And once you get the FDX, you've passed everything. So basically, I've passed all the rifle shoots, I've passed all the pistol shoots, I've passed the attacks on vehicles, which they go through graded attacks. I passed through all the room clearing. We did all the CQB, 2-man CQB we had to do, close quarter battle. And then the final thing's an FTX. So I passed the driving portion. Then they put it all together. And it's really fun. And honestly, I want to do a Battleline course where we do this. It would be a watered down version, but it's just so damn expensive. But what you do is you go pick up, it's kind of like a standard GRS mission, your bread and butter mission that you do all the time. You go pick up the principal, and me and Mo are together. And he was a former Royal Marine, and now he was trying out for MI5's security element, which is like GRS, but it's on the UK side of the house, and they're part of MI5. Well, he's driving. I'm the passenger. I'm the TC, or I'm the on the passenger side, the tactical commander, if you want to call it. But we're on 2-man team. We go pick up our principal. We go drop him off at this makeshift village. It's somewhere out in the middle of Northern Virginia. Take him out, drop him off, and he goes to his meet. And then something happens at that meet that you have to exfil the principal out, which is something similar, because you don't go to these meetings when they go sit in these meetings like a case officer, CIA case officer, whoever, a diplomat. You don't sit in there with them unless they want you to. Normally they don't. You usually are outside somewhere, just hanging out, or making sure nobody's going to attack the compound and watching your car. So we're outside, and then of course the attack kicks off, and we go exfil them. We do everything right. We get in there. We kill all the bad guys that we need to. We don't kill any of the good guys, because that's a huge grade down. You shoot the wrong guy, you're out of the course. So you have to be aware of good and bad situational awareness. It's tremendous. But we get them out of there. We get them in the car, but that's not the end of it. Then you have to actually drive home, and they have a high-level guy, the guys that teach the beyond normal limits driving that you go through during that course. Well, they're the bad guy drivers, and they're trying to knock you off the road. So first of all, you got to drive and get out of that compound, and they've barricaded it. So you got to learn how to slam through vehicles without disabling your own vehicle. That's part of the course. That's the final FTX. And of course, you always try to go through where the on the backside of the car, because there's no engine on the backside. You can dent the shit out of the backside of a car, it's still going to run. You fuck up your engine. That's why when you watch movies where they plow through with their front of their vehicle where the engine is, that's inaccurate. That's not gonna. You would not do that unless you absolutely had to, and if you did, you had to push through a bumper or a soft side. But anyway, I'm getting through tactics now. I'm not going to get into that. We get through, and the whole drive, the driving instructor, who's the bad guy, is trying to pitch you, and you learn how to get out pits. Pits, when you hit the bottom back quarter panel, it makes the car spin, and it does look really cool, but when you learn how to drive out of that, defensive drive out, it's actually easy to counter. So they'll hit you, you spin, you just keep going, you just go with the spin, you shoot out of it. But I do remember when we hit one of the obstacles, we're boxed in. So he's slamming forward in the car, he's slamming the bat. We got junkers, so we're slamming cars back and forth because we got to get out of there. And our principal, his head's in the way. And I remember Mo, and he said, I wish I could talk in his accent. He turns around and he goes, "Hey, motherfucker, could you please move, sir?" And it was the most hilarious, because he said it. I mean, we were in it's high stress. Your emotions, you're going crazy. It's fun as hell. And he says it in that UK accent. He says motherfucker, and it sounded like he said sir. To me, it was like I heard sir when he said motherfucker. And that was where I looked at him. I go, dude. I remember during that, I go, man, you fucksticks can just cuss all the time. You get away with it because you sound so proper. And we were laughing the whole time this scenario was
Brits
going
are also
on.
they're very big on, I don't even want to say it, that, like the C word here. That's like super obscene there. It's like they say it like anything.
Because it doesn't, it's a word. It's just like calling you a motherfucker. It's the same thing, and It is. It would say the C word. Can we say it on air, or should we not say it on air?
You can say whatever we want.
No, they would say no. They say cunt all the time. But it doesn't mean what you think it means. If you want to watch, I think the best, at least, and forgive me, all you English, all you people from London, UK, but the movie that really to me represents the humor that I found working with people from the UK. If you ever watched The Gentleman,
no,
with Matthew McConaughey and
I thought you were going to say like Monty Python or something.
No. Well, that's great humor, but like improper humor where there's cussing all the time and they use the word cunt and there's a scene and you get mad at me if you want. Fine. There's a scene in it where, and this is perfectly what I'm talking about is because honestly, they don't take, at least in my opinion, the guys I work with don't take offense and they make fun of our PC culture, even though they're PC as hell too in there, but they make fun of us. But, there's a scene where they're talking, and this is perfect what I'm talking about with Mo. Guys like Mo and Mick, there always seem to be named Mo and Mick too. I don't know what the fuck. I know I'm not getting their real names, but they're always Mo and Mick. Well, there's a scene in there where he's talking and they're boxing, and the two buddies, there's a pikey, which is a gypsy. They call them pikeys. And if you've watched the movies, you know that. And as far as English guys, as far as I know, and they're buddies. They're fighting. There's a black fighter and a gypsy fighter, and they're talking. And Colin Farrell's in the movie, and he's I love him. He's a great actor. And he plays it perfectly. But they're talking, and the pikey guy yells at his buddy, who's the black guy. He goes, "Hey, get in the ring, you black cunt! Are you? I can't spar myself." And this, I really think they were making fun of America and our PC-ness in the movie. If you watch it, I really do, because it's hitting right on the head. And the black actor, the black guy playing the black fighter, looks at Colin Farrell, who's the coach of both of them, and he goes, "Did he just call me a black cunt?" And Colin Farrell said, "Yes, he did." He goes, "That's racist." He goes, "Well, no, because he's being specific to you. He's not saying all black people are cunts. He's saying you're a cunt." And he goes, "And if it comes from a place of the heart, I think it even means it's a word of affection." He goes, "Well, I wouldn't call him a pikey cunt because pikey's a slander word for gypsy." He goes, "Well, if it came from the heart, I think he would take, he would say, if you would, I'm paraphrasing, but he goes, I think he would he would take great care and know that it was from love." And then it stops. But when I watched that scene, and The Gentleman has come out in the last year and a half, when we are continually become more crazy and PC, and that was when the woke culture came up. Right in that time, The Gentleman came out. I honestly think that Guy Ritchie, who's the director of it, I honestly think he was making fun of America with that scene, because he's spot on. He's spot on, because like me and you. You can call me hey, Tano, stop being a dirty spick. Well, I'm not going to take offense to it because you and I are friends. But that's what we got. We're just going down that route.
Context.
We've
gotten to the point where it's like the context doesn't matter. It's just the words, even if the context isn't in it. It's in a joking way. But
that's also why I think we need to get an Aussie on, or a UK or somebody, because when we do work together, we have those interactions where we're making fun of each other like that, but it is out of a place of love. So that's why I love, and they do, they are, I think it'd be awesome to get one. I'll remember his name. We worked at Blackwater together. I think he's still out there teaching as well. And as instructor, he was a very, very good instructor. So we'll get him on and we'll get one. We'll find one, but we got some Canadians. I mean, they're kind of French.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it. Well, I should have made it happen maybe during Shark Week, because he's involved in the Shark Week stuff. The only Australian military guy I ever interviewed, I don't believe he's special ops, but was Paul de Gelder, who was, I know he was a Navy diver. I think he was also an Army veteran, if I remember correctly. And he lost 2 of his limbs in a wild shark attack.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love to have him on, dude. That's like a phobia. On Shark Week to talk about it. Holy, that's a phobia of mine. I am scared of sharks and I'm scared of snakes, to the point of when you're scared not to run, I will kill them. I'm that afraid of them. I hate them. And it's like, you stay away from me, I'll stay away from you. You come towards me, you're dead, because I'm complete fear of dude. I love to have them on because I'm fascinated. I'm that phobia, that deathly afraid of sharks and snakes, that I want to hear about it. It interests me. So yeah, I'd love to have him on. I really would.
Yeah, he's the only, like I said, I think he's the only Australian mill guy I've ever interviewed, and he was great. So yeah, we'll make that happen. I think we could do that, and anyone that you want to get on too.
Yeah.
The problem is we have such a big list of guys we got to get on, guys we got to get back on. So yeah, we'll make it happen. Anyway, this next one is from James Walper. He's emailed us a few times. He's been a long time listener of the show. So he writes, between Yuri Bezmenov's warning in the 80s and the social credit score that seems to have made its way to our shores and internet, do you think we have the ability to spend the next 30 plus years to reverse the social subversion that is happening in America and the Western world? I generally worry when I see the political warship and virtually all elected officials are playing this insane game. And he gives me some references to China's social credit score during 2015 and Yuri Bezmenov's lectures about the KGB generational social subversion program to get America to fight itself. Very much happening now. And the interesting thing is, he writes, he says, the thing I love most about America, I'm a Canadian, by the way, is that you still have a bottom-up government. Here in Canada, our provinces can't stand up to our federal government. You guys still have some freedom left. If things suck, you can move a few miles and it gets better. We don't have that here. So that's from James.
Go ahead. We'll take turns. You start off on this one then. This is you start.
Yeah, sure. I will. I'm just keeping track of how many emails we have. I mean, yeah, the social credit score thing is pretty crazy, and I think it plays in now to social media, of course. If you post certain things, like, for example, I just saw Rand Paul today, whether people agree with it or not, was questioning the effectiveness of the mask stuff, and YouTube pulled down his channel. You're seeing a lot more of that type of thing. And then even beyond social media, there definitely is a social credit score type thing happening. I don't know if it's to the extreme that some people are making it. We're definitely not to the level that China is at. But it's definitely, I think, getting to the point where you don't get in line with what the masses are getting in line with. Some of the stuff happening with the vaccine. I mean, I could say myself, I've gotten vaccinated. Personally, I think people should. I'm not in favor of mandating it, though. I'm pretty much of the same opinion as someone like Ron DeSantis. And when you talk about here in New York City, I'm not in New York City, but a few miles away in New York City, this whole idea of having the passport to the city, if you get the vaccine, that you could participate in regular society, you can go to a gym, you can go to a restaurant. Yeah, that stuff is ridiculous, and I don't think it's effective. Like I said, I do think people should do this, but voluntarily, and doing that is definitely the closest we've come, I think, in like modern age to a social credit score.
I am, with social media, I feel about social media and a social credit score. I have to be careful too. I think we should, because saying that we need to fall in line with the masses, I don't think if we get true numbers, it's the masses. It's who controls the media. So classifying them as the masses, that means saying they have the majority of people that want to do this. That's horseshit. I don't think that's it at all. But they have control of the media where they can put the most stuff out. So it's called really in the military, we call it a force multiplier. When you have a less amount of people, but you can take on a bigger force because you have a jet, or because you have artillery, or because you have something that is going to cause mass casualties. Well, that's what social media is to this smaller group of people that's wanting to make themselves seem like there are more of them out there. And we have to be careful of that. The only way to really reverse that or to fight that is just continue to press on. You just continue to use the social media, continue to do what you're going to do. Don't stop the way you're doing things.
Unless it's going to, I personally feel, and I don't mean to interrupt you, I feel like unless it's going to affect your livelihood and you need it, I think for some people, they probably shouldn't have social media, because for a lot of people, it's not worth the risk. If you post something that your employer doesn't like and then you're unemployed, was it worth?
Well, and that's common sense. That's part of the fifth principle of patrolling that you have to live by. Everybody should live by the 5 principles of patrolling: planning, recon, security, control, and common sense. Common sense is always the last one. If you're going to do something that's going to get you fired by your job, then don't do it. I mean, it's the same thing as don't drink when you come into work, right? You don't want to come into work drunk. It's the same thing as posting something that your boss or your superiors will say, we don't want to get involved with this. And I don't think a lot of, at least a lot of that groups I've spoken for that have social media, they don't say, hey, you can post all left stuff and not right stuff. It's don't post anything, especially on company time. Don't get into the weeds. And that's when people get into it. And then they say, well, I was banded because I was fired or I was reprimanded because I posted a political post. No, it wasn't that. They said they didn't want you to post anything, nothing. Don't do it. And you go ahead and do it anyway. That's the job. It should be. I mean, there should be some parameters when you're working in a corporation or for a company because they have to maintain some level of control, and what you do is reflective of that company itself. I honestly think in the military, I think they should limit posts with people in the military. I really do. Now, granted, we never had that, so we never had to post. We never had access to any of that stuff because it wasn't. This is how old I am, guys. It wasn't there. I mean, we had MySpace or something like that when I went to the second.
And the problem is too with military posting, I could just say from the past, is that the good stuff, the military volunteering and helping out little kids and rescuing people from Islamic terrorism, that's not the stuff that goes viral. It's the video. Like, I remember a video when I was in college of a military guy, and I don't know if it was real or not, but it got spread of a military guy allegedly throwing a dog off a cliff. Or these guys teasing these little kids in Afghanistan with a bottle of water as they were chasing after a car. You probably saw it. And I think that is not what usually goes on, but that's what gets attention. But bad news gets attention. And
then it's hard though. And you're exactly right, brother. It's always the bad stuff. We've talked about it on this before. I've specific personal examples where if I posted something negative, I got a hell of a lot more of an interaction than when I post something positive. I can tell just by the way I've changed my post since I nuked all that negativity I had back in the day. It's a lot. Now, granted, I think it's coming back though. I can see that people are starting to get tired of this shit. There are more people. It's slow. It's not as viral as something negative. But if we remain positive, if we keep posting positive stuff, and we keep fighting that negative with a positive, yes, it takes longer. Of course it does. But anything that is worth doing is going to take work. That's my grandpa taught me that. An immigrant from Mexico. You got to work at it. You got to keep pressing at it, and you're going to win eventually. It's like anything else. You're going to win eventually if you keep doing it. Just don't give up. And I think people give up because we're in that fast food society here. It's got to happen right now. You and I are having this experience with the podcast. Yeah, we want it to blow up right now. But no, we're not political. It's not going to happen. But every time we get the show, we do a little bit better. We do a little bit better, and it's positive, and it's staying in the wheelhouse that we want to. So I don't believe that we are hamstrung by some social credit or social media influence because we've stayed not neutral. We just stay positive, and that's why I just tell people, hey, yes, it's out there. If you want to get into it, if you want to get into politics, and you want to go right or left, yes. You're going to get slanted. You're going to get shadow banned. You're going to have some negative credit score if you're right. You are. It's just how it is, guys. I'm not,
and especially right now, I think this is one of the first times that, and this is pretty factual, I'd say at this point. If anybody wants to debate on this, I understand. But that the U.S. government is colluding with social media. This is the first time I've seen like a press secretary being, she said, for example, I think if you get banned off Twitter, you should get banned off all platforms. Why is the government deciding that? Why are they colluding with these companies?
That's the agency. That's the CIA, dude, guys. The agency is a sham. The agency is a joke. The reason being is because, and we would make jokes of this downrange as we saw less and less of us going after and trying to infiltrate and fight our enemies. It was easier to go ahead and just influence inside and fight ourselves. We saw that. I saw that personally in the agency as I continue to grow on. And it's the reason being, and CIA case officers, you can be all mad at me if you want. It's because you guys are no good at going and trying to infiltrate terrorists, trying to figure out I shouldn't say no good. You're not as good as you used to be, and it's easier to go ahead and influence our own society here and control the United States of America. Because first of all, the language barrier. Second of all, we don't blend in. White college kids, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants that go to the CIA do not blend in. Where here it's easier to influence, and I do feel like, and it's safe. Bottom line, it's safer. It's more risk averse.
Well, I was also going to say, though, it is over here, but you could also keep in mind all these companies, Facebook, Twitter, they're all American owned, but there's foreign influence on there. There are Islamic terrorists on Twitter. So it's not like they're just banning people in America. They are banning outside influences. And he mentioned this. I mean, it plays into the social credit score thing. And we talked about this on the episode with, I hate saying his code name, but Coriolanus. I wish I could just say his real name. We talked about it with him, but it's a known fact. Russia was not only buying pro-Trump stuff on social media, they were buying Black Lives Matter ads, and they were organizing events. And the whole point, as I keep wanting to say his name, as Coriolanus said, was that it wasn't about getting Trump elected. It was about creating distrust in America, which is also why we've talked about this. I mean, you haven't been on there in ages, but I have a problem with RT. RT is, Russia state-run television, and the only reason they have Americans on, I would say, is to be on there to say, look how bad America is, look what America gets wrong. So I think when they have you on for Benghazi, honestly, and I don't know if you disagree with me, and I know you don't do that type of stuff anymore, but I think they were having you guys on to say, wow, look how fucked up America is, look how bad their government is, and they'll never have someone on to say America's the greatest country in the world. That they don't want to hear. Well,
and honestly, if you want to be fair, all the news networks would do that. All the news networks would do it. Look how fucked. Well, it's one side. Look how fucked up it is, and look how fucked up the government is because our people aren't in charge. And no, you're right. That's why I stopped doing media. That's why I stopped doing any of it. And then if you're on the other side, it was embellishing the good things or not bringing up the bad things. The other side, the Foxes.
I think RT specifically is there to make America look bad from Russia.
We make ourselves look bad, dude. I'm sorry. We do it to ourselves. We should, but no, do I like RT? No, I'm agreeing with you on that point, but I also am going a step further and say, we make ourselves look bad. We divide ourselves. We have Foxes and CNNs and the social credit score and the social media outlets that are mainly left wing. We have it. We fight amongst ourselves, and you're right. RT is there, just going stirring the pot as much as our enemies are as well. We are imploding. But I don't want to get to where I'm like that guy that says it's going to go that way and we're going to continue going down that path. I don't think we will. There are people like yourself. There are people that we've had on the show. There are people that are out there that are saying, hey, we can get out of this. We just have to minimize the amount of time we spend on social media or just get off of it entirely, which I did for a while, which immensely helped. And we got to stop putting as much stock in the media. You can't be a CNN follower, be somebody that says, well, I don't really watch CNN except for Jake Tapper. He's awesome. No, you're still watching. Or on the Fox side, I don't really watch for Fox News except for Tucker Carlson. Now, I like it.
I might be that guy. I like Tucker.
But that's the thing is that if you're either going to be in it or you're going to be out of it. But if you're going to be in it, then stop worrying, because this is what they're doing to you. They're trying to make you worry to create division and to create dissension and to make us weaker. And so their political candidates can come in power. That's what happens in the Middle East with Al-Iraqi TV, Al-Arabia TV, Al-Libyan TV. They've got that down already. If anything, all those veterans coming back should have already learned from being overseas, watching the propaganda. This is exactly what we're doing. They're doing here. It's not media anymore. It's propaganda. And if you can't take it with a grain of salt and see it for what it is, well, then you're going to worry and you're going to have a miserable life. You're going to be like I was 3 years ago. Being miserable. Yeah, maybe I was making some money, but I was completely miserable because my side had to be right. Bullshit. It wasn't, my side wasn't right, and no sides are right. The only side to be right is what you've got around you and your family. You've got your family staying positive within yourself, staying virtuous within yourself, and not trying to force that on other people. They've got to figure it out for themselves. But getting back to the social credit score, yeah, and all that, yeah, it's there. The thing is, though, is do you have to follow it? Do you have to play into it? Or can you make your own path and start doing your own thing? Which is what I think. Honestly, I think the podcast, Battleline Podcast, that's what we are doing. Yeah,
on some level, though, when I think of the whole idea of social credit score, people could isolate a clip from you or I, and it could affect you in the future, in the eyes of the government, in the eyes of a future employer. I know we're staying on this topic a while, but I want to mention one other thing because it's sticking with me. Is the one that I'm personally most afraid of that I think is going to influence social credit and influence the future more than ever. And Alex Hollings talked about it on the show with us. And believe it or not, I heard Ashton Kutcher talk about it from the same standpoint, and he was spot on. I'm most worried about TikTok because TikTok is a Chinese-run company that gives American data to the Chinese Communist Party. And I'm not so naive to believe they're just doing it to look at dance moves, and the problem is it's kids on there who are preteens and they're going to be the most influenced by that stuff of anybody. And I do think they're going to run anti-America campaigns to be targeted towards the youth and to make China look better.
Based off that data collection, based off that data.
All that stuff, man. And I've already seen so much misinformation on TikTok, and people think, like with the whole Palestine-Israel thing, people get their information from these small videos that really don't give a real view of what's going on. And I think we're going to see more of it from China, because it's a Chinese-run company. So I think they're going to run huge pro-China propaganda targeted towards 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and to continue this trend of anti-America among the youth.
Oh, and who's the one that wanted to get rid of TikTok?
Trump,
I'm just saying it, guys.
I agree with him on that.
You just keep it. So, and that's where we get on this social credit score, where we start to lose our common sense that every politician, if it's not on your side, is doing terrible things. That's not the truth. A politician is fallible like anybody else, but even Bill Clinton kept the, even though I don't care for the Clintons, as you all know that, I could care. I really dislike them. But did Bill Clinton do well on the economy? Fuck yeah, he did. And I will say that. I'm not dumb. I'm not so stuck in my ideological ways that I won't admit success when I see it. But that's the thing that the both sides now can't do with Trump or Biden or whoever else, even in the locals, is that even when they do something good and it's not your candidate or it's not the person you support, you'll find a way to rationalize why it became good, and it's going to rationalize back to my side or whatever. That's why
I'll say this. I agreed with Trump with TikTok. The problem with it, in my opinion, was he didn't do a good, and this was always the problem with Trump, in my opinion, he didn't do a good job articulating it. I think people got the idea that they were like, oh, he wants to ban TikTok because people are trolling him. They don't like him. He needed to make it clear, no, this is, and he very rarely said, this is American data going to Chinese companies. I didn't really hear him articulate that, and that should have been the focal point. We don't want to give our data to communists in China. That's a pretty easy point to agree.
I know whether it was him or not, me with how much I watch the media and the news, but when I did, because I think I want to say we talked about it on the show, and then I did go research it. I saw that in the article, whether he said it or not, and I don't even remember which article. I know I try to stay right on there, so it was either I don't know, it was like an AP article. I didn't go search it on Fox or something, or CNN, so I don't know who wrote it, and I could care less. But I do remember reading that, whether Trump said that or whether one of his aides said that, I don't know. But that's what I remember reading when it first popped up. It's because of the data collection. And I agree. I agreed with that too. I know we go down rabbit holes on this, but again, I think it's
a good question. That's
it is. It's an excellent question. And it comes down to, guys, you have to unplug at least every once in a while. You got to unplug. We are so, housewives of New Jersey, real world, all this stuff that's we've turned our politics into that. It's form of entertainment. And we're finding that is deathly wrong. And it's just destroying our ability to be together as a country. But podcasts and good podcasts, and we're not just ours, but there's other ones out there. We have the ability, and I'm putting the onus on us. We have the ability to bring it back center so people can have good discussions and still see that they get along from real people. It's not that 4 or 5 minute take from a mainstream media, and that this country still has a great future ahead of it. If we unplug from what's turning not into news anymore, it's turning into propaganda. And like I said, we can have discussion. Ian's going to get the vaccine. I never will.
I already did.
Yeah, Ian did it, but I don't hate him for it. I'm not going, oh, you shit commie. And he's not going to say, oh, you crazy 3%er, you're infecting the world. It's our choice. And it's choices. But I also agree on talking about, maybe there's a vaccine question in there because I saw something about the military. People were all up in arms about the military being. Yeah. I'm like, dude, we were mandatory. Vaccines were mandatory when I was in.
Yeah, that was my reaction as well. Like when you join the military, there's a lot of mandatory stuff that. That's not a new thing.
And back when I was in, anthrax was a big threat. So we had to get we had to get the anthrax vaccines. That was how many shots did I get?
Holy shit! I didn't even realize that.
And if you're in special operations, you have to have all the vaccines because you're going into countries, like that. So to me, I guess we went off course a little bit, but we're answering a question. Hey, Tana, what do you? I'm answering my own question. Hey, Tana, what do you think about the military getting the vaccine, the COVID vaccine? So what? We got every vaccine in the world anyway. That's part of being in the military. So I think that's perfectly fine because I should see my shot record. But that's required of you, and you accept it when you go in the military. And if you go into special operations, you even go to the next level of vaccines. That's why I really don't worry about getting a vaccine now because I don't think there's any more room for anything else in my fucking body.
And also, I mean, there's a huge difference between being a private citizen and being in the military. As a private citizen, you should have that right to do what you want to do. And when you were in the military, you
have no rights. But it's that choice that you make, and we make fun of it, but it's the God honest truth. But when you join the military, and especially you go to those levels of Rangers, SEALs, PJs, you're doing it and you accept that. You know it going in. You should. If you don't, then probably shouldn't be going in. So I know I went down that rabbit hole.
No, and the last point I'll give on this, just because I mentioned the TikTok thing and how it's going to affect young people, I would just say, look, I don't have kids. I have no, I have no room to tell people how to parent or anything. But if you have young kids, just teaching them why America is a great country, our history, because chances are they're not going to learn that in school, and you have to do it on your own.
That's a good
point. Also, on social media, they're going to get a lot of anti-America propaganda. So if you're not teaching them why America is great, they might not get it anywhere else. So that's the last point I'll make on that. Okay. So I got this email here from Matt Menko. Hey guys, just wanted to know your opinion on this article and what will happen in the future to come. It seems like since U.S. troops have left, this has been a major problem on Afghanistan capitals. Love the podcast and so happy you guys have kept it going so long. Many thanks, Matt. And this is from Reuters. Afghanistan war, Taliban capture 3 regional capitals.
Oh, they captured 3. Yeah.
And it says the Taliban have captured 3 regional capitals in Afghanistan as they continue to make sweeping territorial gains in the country. They seized control of the key northern city of Kunduz. Am I saying that right?
Yep,
Kunduz.
Yep.
On Sunday, as well as Sar-e-Pul and Talakwan. It means 5 regional capitals have fallen to the militants since Friday, with Kunduz being the most important gain this year. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's the email.
Yeah, I don't. The Taliban, will they gain complete control? They can have the outers. It would be hard for the Afghan security forces, the Afghan National Army, to hold the outer bases just because they're so. I mean, we're talking about rural doesn't even describe them. Desolate, isolated. But that's why the Northern Alliance could fight the Taliban, because they weren't a national army; they were a militia in themselves, and that's how you have to fight out there in those regions. It's got to be a militia, something that is not regimented, that can function autonomously on its own, can make decisions on its own, doesn't need a command structure to tell them what to do, unless the United States has the capabilities to do that, because we're good at. Even though some of us will complain, it's still a little slow getting information from the chain of command. It could be better. But that's why special operations is so good, is because most commanders will allow their leaders on the ground to make decisions. I don't think the Afghan National Army is at that point. So I think they're going to lose a lot of those exterior bases because they don't have the ability to communicate. And I think there always is a control issue because of tribes in Afghanistan, more so than even Americans. So, they're going to lose them. I think we should worry if they lose Kabul or Kandahar, or both. Kandahar is the second biggest city. That is probably the one that needs to be reinforced. And they need to keep that one to maintain the southern control of the southern region, having Kandahar, and then Kabul. you lose Kabul, you lose the country. Does that surprise me? No, that's the Taliban. That's what they're going to do. They're waiting for us to leave. They're going to come in. They're always going to have fighters. There's no way, because they go hide in Pakistan. So we can't kill them all, and they know how to blend in. So Americans don't like collateral damage, and I don't either. You don't want to kill women and children, and the Taliban know that. That's how they're able to blend in and so well. And they go hide, and they would hide their arms in children's orphanages, guys, children's schools. We would find that. And I remember one time we did hit a children's school, not we as me, but the U.S. military did when we were in Afghanistan. And oh man, the media went crazy. Oh, how could you do that? How could you do that? They were hiding.
It's kind of similar to happens to Israel a lot too.
No, it's the same thing. And the media, you're here, we're talking about how there's the media again. Just, it's like, hey, dude, shut the fuck up. You have no idea. But the Taliban know how to work on I've always said this. I said this when I used to go on the news back in the day. The Taliban will always be able to play on our sympathies. Terrorists know how to play on American and Western sympathies. That's why we will never be able to beat them, because we can't look bad on media, on social media, even though war doesn't give two shits about social media. And the Afghani National Army pulling them out. Yeah, we had to do something. We can't just stay in Afghanistan. We've given the Afghani National Army enough time to get better. How long has it been? 20 years or so to, we've got to just let it go and say, hey, it's your show, guys. What do you want to do? What do you want to do with it? And I think you'll see a lot of the ANA guys, Afghan National Army, defect over to the Taliban side of the house, because, honestly, I think that's just the way of the world over there in Afghanistan. It's just, they're always going to have wars. They're always going to be fighting, and there's never going to be a democracy there. And really, there never was anyway, because of the various tribes in power, various people with significant last names that remain in power. Does that sound familiar? But they can reinforce it with guns. And this is why we always say on the podcast too, this is why you don't want a civil war, because the same people remain in power. When you try to take them out of power, then you get these extremists, and then there's just wars and battles forever. And you should, if you've never saw pictures of Kabul in the 1960s, how beautiful it was. The roses, that place is famous for roses. The places, and just how, and then after, the Russian invasion, and then also really what destroyed it all was the tribal wars. It wasn't even us coming in or the Russians coming in. What destroyed it was the battle between Hekmatyar and Massoud and Rabbani and Saif and then Taliban extremists, which is part of Hekmatyar's guys. It will go on forever. So I don't think having Americans there was going to do anything unless we went in and just kicked the living shit out of them. Going to have collateral damage. It's going to, kind of like what we did in Mosul to ISIS with the Kurds. The Kurds helped us. Peshmerga's awesome. It's going there and just blowing the shit out of them, crushing them, and then leaving. But it's a sad story, because I know what's going to happen to those people that fall alongside of us. I think that's where it will end, and it will stay just like that. The Taliban will have the exterior, and the ANA and the Democratic people that support the ANA will have the two major cities, and that's going to be Afghanistan for a long time. But if the Taliban takes Afghanistan or Kabul, get ready again for a possible, because they'll use that just like bin Laden used it to train and stage for attacks on Western bases and even America again. Now they've got a whole country again. It goes back to Osama bin Laden again. But what do you do if we're not willing to fully invest and win a war, and we're going to occupy us? You can't continue to occupy a country, because and you're not going to change them into democracy. It's not going to happen. I've said it countless times. So, all right, what's your take, man? What do you think?
I mean, I don't have anything to add to what you're saying. I think you're correct. And this is really, honestly, it's one of those questions that's way more your expertise. I haven't been over there. I haven't served. I do agree that we have to pull out at some point. And, I think it's just going to be a consequence that there's going to continue to be chaos over there, and people are going to feel like, why did we go in there in the first place?
Yeah.
And I understand that.
Well, I'm one of those guys, and I'm sure other Rangers that we've had on, some of your buddies feel the same way. And you're like, hey, well, what the fuck, dude? But I have to also remember that I did enjoy my time over there. I did. So there wasn't all, I'm not going to turn into that jaded fuck America, fuck, we fuck. I went over there too, and if you hate me, hate me. I had fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the Afghanis. That's why I love Afghanistan. Those people are amazing. Just fucking amazing people. But politicians be damned, as always. Politicians and upper brass in the military, they don't look to win and help wars. They look to agendas, and they look to what can help them in the next election or help them on the next promotion. And as long as they're in charge, it's always going to be, we're going to have this over and over and over again. But if, and mark it here, if they do take Kabul and they take Kandahar, we will have another attack on U.S. soil. We will, because that's what bin Laden did. That was his staging area. And that's where we had a chance to kill him when Clinton was in office. There's a knock on Clinton when he decided not to. And they could have got him with a hellfire, right? Bam. And then we could have supported Massoud a little bit more, which we didn't, the Northern Alliance, and they would have took him out for us as well. But man, Afghanistan that's the epicenter. And if the Taliban gets control of it, then terrorists are going to have another training ground, and an awesome training ground to stage attacks on Western. And help me correct me if I don't want to be wrong, Western and Israeli, or is it just, it's two different things. When I say it, I say Western and Israeli, or would I say, does it all stay in the same?
Yeah, I guess it would. I mean, because the West, right? We think of like Canada, America, right? I mean, so yeah,
But
I mean, yes, Israel is surrounded by, it's one little place the size of New Jersey, surrounded by Islamic countries.
Yeah, and there'll be more attacks on Israel as well. So
yeah,
that's it.
All right. Well, I'll get to this next one from Jill Zacco, who always sends us great emails. She is a huge fan of the show. Really appreciate you, Jill. She writes, "Hi, Chris and Ian. My question has to do with Extortion 17. I've read the book by Don Brown, and now with the documentary coming out and it being hopefully put in the forefront again, do you think we are ever going to know what happened aboard the Chinook that fateful night? What are your thoughts? There are so many eyebrow-raising questions. Love you guys and love the podcast."
And it's the Chinook, just Chinook. Yeah. No worries. Do you want me to answer this? Or do you want to take the first one?
Oh, this is you.
Loss of life, and most of them were SEAL Team 6, if I believe right. This Extortion 17, for those of you guys that don't know, that was the Chinook that went up without cover, without any Black Hawk cover or any other air cover, to go up and rescue Marcus Luttrell and his team. And
were they all Extortion 7? Were they all SEALs?
No. They were not.
I'm looking it up just because that I don't remember. It says killed 38 people on board, 25 special operations personnel, 5 U.S. Army National Guard and Army Reserve crewmen, 7 Afghan commandos, and 1 Afghan interpreter, as well as a U.S. military working dog. Yeah,
okay. So all the National Guard guys were that was the Hilo crew and the crew chiefs and so forth. The special ops guys were SEALs from SEAL Team, I believe SEAL Team 6, they normally at that time Chinooks didn't go up in those areas without some form of cover. But that cover, the Apache gunships that could have been covering, or the DAPs, the direct action penetrators, the Black Hawks, they were actually on another mission. They were actually responding to something in I want to say in Jaybad, in Jalalabad. So they were unavailable. But I don't think it was incorrect by the SEALs getting on that bird and saying, well, we're going up anyway. Our brothers are in trouble. I'd have done the same thing. But there was, from what I understanding, and I talked to the pilot of it, there was a Spectre up in the air at that point in time that was relaying information that there were hostiles, where they were located, and they were asking for permission. Maybe this will come out in the TV show. I don't know. I'm not going to give you the name of the pilot because it's still, she's still under scrutiny, and it's not. I don't want to get her in trouble. But what she told me is they were flying up in the air, and they did see, and they did ask for permission to take out the hostiles, but they weren't given the okay to, because it wasn't confirmed that they were hostiles. So when the Chinook got up there, they were, and they just RPG'd the shit out of that thing, and it came down. Because up that high in the air, Chinook, it's an awesome bird. It's strong as fuck. If you ever have the chance to read about the story of Tucker Gar, where the SEAL fell out of the back of a Chinook, and then the Rangers PRF came up. And that was where the Medal of Honor for Chapman was for the Army. I mean, the Air Force CCT. Those things are a beast. They'll take a beating, but that thing, it did. And it can't maneuver very well. So when it's stationary up there, it's really just a floating balloon that you're shooting shooting a BB gun out of a floating balloon that's right in front of you. But yeah, it killed them all because it came down and crashed, and the crash, killed from. I mean, maybe there were some alive that were executed. I don't think so, but I wouldn't have. The crash though supposedly killed everybody, and the RPG's explosion. So what the big issue was that Spectre, that plane that was up in the air, had the ability to stop the attack before it could even start. So I think that's going to be a discussion on the TV show that's coming out. But it comes back again to just politics and war and people in command that aren't willing to make decisions because of the possibility of making a bad decision. But like I always say, when I do my speeches, I always talk like this. I still do a lot of talks. I said, when you're in charge, the worst thing you can do is make no decision. Make a decision, whether it's good or bad, and go with it. And you'll be able to adjust fire if it's a bad decision, if you're well-trained and if you're smart, which those guys obviously were. They're SEAL Team 6. Come on. And the air crew. Air crews are always well-trained. Some of the best air crews I've been on are National Guard, Air Guard. They get more hours a lot of times than the regular Army aviation guys, except for a task force. But making no decision and waiting, which is what I believe happened, and that's why, I would have rather saw a commander tell the Spectre, say, oh, yeah, take those guys out, and then have Fox and CNN reporting that, and then them get, Lone Survivor, get Marcus and his team out of there safely, and then come back later and them say, oh, well, you killed a bunch of goat herders, and hey, hate me if you want, I'm sorry. Fuck it, it's war. That's just fucking how it is. The chances of that happening, though, are probably low to none because they're coming into a gunfight. So who the fuck else would be? You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck else would be there? But I'd rather see that than see what we're seeing now, where we lost a bunch of tremendous operators because of the not having the balls to make a fucking decision. And that's what's lacking. And that's what's I believe it's continually lacking in leadership today in the military, is that you don't have people that are willing to make those hard decisions and possibly get reprimanded. You have people in there that are going to just do what the fuck they're told by people that have no idea what's going on or has never been in it before. So yeah, that actually does bother me. The extortion thing does bother me a little because it almost kind of reminds me of Benghazi. It does because those guys did.
Except, guys lived and none of them lived. So.
Except they lived, and that is the minute difference. It's that it just could have went sideways in one particular way with us. All they had to do was bring a car bomb on our base, just right up to the gate, and it would have killed all of us because our base was so fucking small. I don't know why they didn't VBID the fuck our base. They could have, but that's what I'm saying is that they still went, even though they weren't supposed to, even though they didn't have the right assets, they had no cover, they were not supposed to go. They still said, fuck you, we're going. And they did the right thing. The guys on the ground and their leadership fucking failed them. Our leadership failed us. We just got lucky because they didn't bring the assets that they should have to kill us. They could have, they had them, they just didn't do it. Where in that aspect, they did have the assets to kill them. And in both scenarios, we had like us, we had a drone in the air watching everything. They had a Spectre up in the air watching everything as well. And the Spectre could have just fucking tore them up. And yeah. Now again, maybe I got my information completely wrong. And Tano, you're fucked up. But that's what I understand. That's what I know. And the pilot of that bird, I know her. It was a female pilot. I know one of them. There's multiple pilots. There's a big crew on that thing. And she was going to come out and say, I think she actually did come out on the news once and say something. And I want to say her face was blacked out, but it never went anywhere. So maybe this is,
so she survived. She was in a different,
she was in a C-130, AC-130. Opened up in the air.
I mean, I'm assuming everybody in the actual plane we know, correct, right? So this is a different.
No, this is a different one. This is one that provides an AC Spectre, an AC 130 gunship. It's actually up in the air. It covers us with 105. It's a 105, I believe, 105 millimeter gun, and a lot of them have a 40 millimeter and 40 millimeter grenade. It's like a grenade launcher. I don't know if the new ones do. And then it has a recoilless up there as well. And that thing, if you ever watch it, that thing can pinpoint accuracy to within 1 to 10 meters with fucking a cannon. And it's
so basically there were people there who could tell the story, but they've just chosen not to come out
or been threatened to not come out or risking their career, kind of like we were, and kind of like many that still were there with us in Benghazi that chose not to show their faces because it's scary. It's scary getting because I'm not Hillary Clinton. I can't destroy intelligence. I can't go out there and do the wrong thing and then lie about it in front of Congress. If I do, I've signed a statement that says, if you violate these national security, you're going to prison for 10 years and you get a $250,000 fine. That would happen to me just like it would happen to them, and they lose their careers. You have to make a choice, but the choice is, what's your price on integrity? Can you live with yourself by not saying something, or are you going to risk it by actually getting out there and speaking the truth? And maybe this is what this show is. Maybe some of them finally risked it and are coming out and saying, this is what happened. Should not have happened. The SEALs should not have died. We had assets in position that could help, and you told us not to. And maybe they're looking for answers, kind of like, granted, when we came out to tell our story, it was to tell it, but I was also looking for answers. Why? Why did this fucking happen? It shouldn't have happened. Maybe this time this is finally getting to them. Every person that served in the military obviously has some integrity, or they would not have joined. And that integrity, when it's challenged, will eventually get the best of you, which is a good thing, because you're going to want to ask questions, and you're going to finally go, you know what? Fuck you. I want to know what happened. Tell me, you son of a bitch up there watching it from the camera, you damn 08, whatever the fuck it is, you damn general, damn CENTCOM commander, damn AFRICOM commander, damn whatever commander. Why the fuck didn't you allow us to help? Why didn't you send more help? Why did you let politicians dictate what we were doing on the ground? And maybe this finally got to them. So honestly, it's just something I'm going to watch, because I think I'm going to learn more on it, because I'm just like you, Ian. I mean, I know people in there. I know some of them. I know kind of what happened, but I wasn't there, and maybe I'm getting bad information. So yeah, I'd like to watch it. But it does mean a lot, because those guys did the right thing. They did. They tried to help, and they paid the fucking price with their lives, which again, all of them signed up to do. And I know they wouldn't say anything differently. Up in heaven, they're like, yeah, I'd do it again. I guarantee all of them are, because that's what SOCOM guys do. That's what air crews do. That's what you do in those combat areas. But I'm sure they want to know what the fuck happened, because I believe they did have the ability to kill all those guys that killed them. Not the Chinook, but they had other assets in the area that could have taken out that team that took down Extortion 17. But they were given the command to not intervene.
Yeah. So. Well, since we were mentioning Benghazi a little bit there, I will jump in here and talk about one of our great sponsors that have been on board with us. We love what they do, and that's, of course, Bubs. And for those who don't know, the name Glenn Doherty was an adventure seeker, a river guide, skier, Ironman competitor, fitness fanatic, chef, gardener, handyman, and an epic storyteller. Bub was a national hero, a Navy SEAL who saved lives and was always the life of the party, and became a best friend to all who knew him. That spirit lives within each of us, and that's what inspired the brand Bub's Naturals, which gives 10% back to the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation, and they have the best collagen protein on the market, as well as their MCT oil powder. And if you haven't checked them out already, I know many of you have. You're seeing great growth, whether it's in your recovery or joint recovery, and we love what they do.
Yeah, guys, that stuff is second to none. I swear by it. It has really helped me get my workouts back. I mean, this last weekend, I'm running around for 2 days. I'm 50 years old, guys. I'm running around with body armor for 2 days doing a class, and my joints don't hurt. You know, my back doesn't hurt anymore. The collagen really is helping over these years, rebuilding a lot of the stuff that I have tore down, but also just getting the extra protein. It gives me the energy, and I'm getting, I'm never going to be huge. I don't want to be huge. I can't move around, but I'm getting the muscle mass and the muscle tone back that I lost. And it tastes good. I put it in my coffee. I love it in my coffee. When I don't have the MCT oil in my coffee in the morning and the protein, I'm missing something. So every morning, the protein and then that MCT oil, a little bit of coffee before I go run is a tremendous pre-workout. And the collagen protein, and boy, the Fountain of Youth formula. I should be losing my hair by now. I'm not. My fingernails are growing. I just feel tons better with that stuff. And that Fountain of Youth also has a ton of vitamin C, which is great for your immune system. That's just an asset. So guys, if you're in a protein and you should be, and especially the collagen protein, don't buy that stuff that you see that Jennifer Aniston is pushing out there. No, don't do that. You get Bubs Naturals. That stuff is, and being named after Bubs, who not only was a tremendous individual, but also a tremendous teammate, and having money go back to the Glendora Memorial Foundation. Again, that's just a cherry on top of why you should. But really, the stuff works, and it tastes good, and it's for a tremendous company. And Sean Lake is integrity up the wazoo. He's a tremendous individual. There's no reason why you should look for anything else with collagen protein or any of their other products. And also, you forgot the apple cider gummies. And I take those with my vitamin C in the morning and all that. But gosh, I can't believe I feel like I'm 30 again. Literally. I know it sounds like a commercial cliche, but I do. And my wife likes it too. So I'm good. I'm good with all that.
They're great. And also they've been doing some cool live streams Sean has been doing with people from all different spectrums of life, really. I mean, they've had Herb Dean, the famous UFC referee, and now he's MMA in general. And then the guys from Murphy's Law, if you don't know them, I mean, legendary New York hardcore band. So the people using Bubs they're all great. So bubsnaturals.com. Promo code Battleline, and you're going to get 20% off your order. That's for all the products that we've mentioned. You're going to get 20% off. bubsnaturals.com. Promo code Battleline. And as you just spoke about, you've been doing a lot of classes lately and on the range using Fort Scott munitions. And Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring they receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Guys, if you've been listening to this show since day one, they've been with us. They are really who keeps us floating. So you got to check them out. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states. Go to fortscottmunitions.com. Click on the dealer locator on the website. Link for that is in the description, and you'll find a dealer right in your area. And then on top of that, if you want to check out any products from them, t-shirts, hats, any of that cool stuff, you could use the promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline Podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. And with those tactical classes, which you can see the full lineup at ChrisTantoPeranto.com or TantosGearLocker.com. I know you're on the range and sending downrange Fort Scott munitions. Yeah,
it's still the best ammo out there. They're still making tremendous ammo, even inventing new ammo, new 45s, tumble on impact. What I love though that's coming up here soon is that Fort Scott Munitions and Battleline Tactical are going. I can't tell you where I live, even though I've told you 8 million times. It's just where my wife is.
In an undisclosed location.
Not disclosed. But in this undisclosed location, we're making Battleline Tactical for defense, Now we're call it Fort Defense, which is Fort Scott Munitions Range and Training Facility out here in Kansas. So that's something to look forward to down the road. So classes locally, but also now you guys can actually come and meet and see what Fort Scott really is, Fort Scott Munitions, what Fort Defense is going to be. So they just continue to grow and get better and stronger. And I'm just happy to ride their coattails. I think we at the podcast are happy as well, because they do take very good care of us. And that says a lot about them, but it also says a lot about their products. They put a lot of heart and soul in it, and it's the best out there, and it's cutting edge. So if you're shooting ammo, guys, home defense ammo, especially you hunters out there as well, Fort Scott Munitions. If you're going with anything else, you're going substandard. So keep checking them out, guys. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. All right. With that, we're going to get back into what we're doing here in this part 1 episode of the Q&A, which will be a 2-part episode. We'll have more next week as well. So let's continue with this one. Question for Chris. The quote, "Older men declare war, but it is the youth that must fight and die." And he says the quote is from HH. I'm not sure, who that is exactly, but it says, "What are your thoughts, if any?" And that's from Indian Otto.
Well, I would say that politicians declare war, and the younger men and women are the ones that go and fight it and die in it, but also live and experience great. And it's a statement that shows the negativity of, and war is negative, and war's death. There's death, but gosh, I've seen so much life in war-torn countries as well. I've seen a lot of great things in war-torn countries. I have you mentioned the bottle, and I've been around guys that did that. Hey, hi, and they got, here, have a bottle of water, and you're basically egging the kids on.
Earlier on, yeah.
But I've also given bottles of water and candy and MREs and stuff to kids and to elders even, and how thankful they've been. And you always see me. I don't know if you ever come see me, I'm always doing this. Well, I'll say hi to you, shake your hand, and it's just a habit. Well, that's a term of respect.
And for those who don't see, you're putting your hand.
I'm putting my hand. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. I know it on audio. I put my hand over my heart. That's a sign of respect to the Muslim, any Muslim that I would ever conversate with, or have coffee with, or have chai with, or a dip with. Naswar. I tried Naswar. Don't do that, guys. That stuff is, think of Copenhagen times 100. It's like a tobacco they choose. It's made me woo. I was spinning, but I did it out of respect when I was in Kandahar with my little Afghani security guard. I was with security, but it made friendships, and you see, because I did it so many times, meeting people on the street and seeing their faces when I was able to do something that was part of their culture, and seeing them light up, and not seeing a terrible American, which a lot of them did see a lot because of some of the bad things that happened. Some of the guys did. They were terrible. They shouldn't have done the things they did. But then seeing their faces light up when they're like, oh my gosh, genuine, nice guy, American. Maybe Americans aren't so bad. I wrote about this in the Ranger Way. I had a truck coming at me. I'll tell the story. Because to me, this epitomizes really what war-torn countries are, in a good way. I was blocking position. I was on, I believe, Bridge 2, guys. On Haifa Street, there's Bridge 2. You go right up, Little Assassin's Gate, and I was blocking an area because the ambassador. This was when I was with State Department, and Blackwater, working State Department, and I remember blocking intersection. And you blocked intersections when we had ambassadors or high-level VIPs, diplomats coming through, because they were huge targets, and you didn't want them sitting at intersections, because if they sat too long, they're going to be found out, and eventually they'll be attacked, or a car bomb's going to hit them. It happened all the time. So we would block intersections of traffic so their motorcades could come through, so they could shoot through and get in. Well, that pissed off a lot of Iraqis. Think of you driving to New York City, and all of a sudden you get to this. You think it's going to be open, and you get to the street. And now you've got a backup of cars for miles because some asshole American is blocking your road. Well, anyway, I'm doing this, and I'm blocking, and it's taking entirely too long. So I'm start to let Iraqis through. I'm letting them through. Well, all of a sudden, this bongo truck, I see it down the road. It's coming perpendicular to Haifa Street on that Bridge 2 intersection that I'm at. We already had reports of sniper fire coming across the street. And that was at the time that I didn't wear a helmet. I was a contractor. I'm a fucking, I wore body armor. I don't wear a helmet. But so there's not, so it's hot. It's hot as fuck. And Haifa Street is a bad area, very bad. Even right outside Little Assassin's Gate, it had that name for a reason. Well, there's a bongo truck coming. And I remember getting my M4 up and I pointed at it, and it's a little ways away. It's getting closer and it's going faster. And I give him what we call the onion. This means stop. If you give it up, we call it give him the onion, give him the, and it wouldn't stop. And I'm looking at it. I'm trying to address it. I'm trying to assess the situation, because I had every at the rate it was going, the speed is coming down. It's bearing on me. The area that we're at, the sniper fire already in the area. There's attacks going on down Haifa Street. I had every reason to shoot, but I'm looking at the truck. Okay, is it weighted down? Is it, how many people are in that truck? Is it, because if it's a car bomb, it's going to be weighted down, even in a bongo truck. But it's also it's also not going to have more than one person in it, because they don't do suicide bombers with two people, because they only kill one. And I remember I looked as it's getting closer. I swept the selector lever from safe to semi. I just slid it. I aimed in, and then I see a man. But I'm still not getting the feel that it's a truck bomb. And I look and I see his son. As they get closer, I can see his son in the passenger seat. So I look, and as it gets closer, I'm still doing this vehemently. I'm out there doing the onion, screaming, "Stop! Slow down! Fucking slow down!" And as I get closer, I can see the little kid's eyes, and he reminds me of my son at the time. I just had a boy; he was about 1 then. This kid's a 5, and he's with his dad. Basically, just with his dad on errands. And his eyes he's scared shitless, because I have an M4 pointing down his dad's face. And then I transition, I pointed at his. And as soon as I see his eyes, I realize, holy fuck. My God, I'm scaring the living shit out of this kid. And I've got body armor on. I got my cool guy Oakley sunglasses. I look like the fucking American mercenary there, Blackwater guy. I put my gun down. I walk over. I have a picture of my son in my wallet, my new son. I don't know why. I don't know why I get emotional telling this, but anyway,
I understand, man. I mean,
I flipped it out and I put it on the window, and I remember his dad. Hold a second.
I'm sorry, man.
No. It's good. It's good.
Not like I even asked. What's funny
is
this is a pretty basic.
I know
quote, and it opened up.
It opened.
I get it.
And then with guys that have been, it does. It reminds, because it's deeper than that. But his dad smiled, and the little boy's face, you could just see the color back come into it, and he smiled. And I remember thinking, man, I think I made more headway today helping an Iraqi than I ever did killing a terrorist.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that we always look, yes, there are deaths. That's what the media is going to show you. That's what gets the visuals. It doesn't show you things that happen like that. And I wasn't the only one. There were great guys over there that tried and did their best to acclimate and make Iraqis feel like we wanted to be part of their culture. We wanted to be friends. We wanted you just to see the beauty of what we are as being a democracy. And I know in that little instant, all you intellectuals, all you East Coasters out there, not you, Ian, but all you other East Coasters out there are going, oh, motherfucker, you guys aren't that. That is Jack Murphy. That is Marty Skovlin. That is me. That is, I'm giving you names. That's John Burt. That's the intellectual aspect of it. And we believe
I was gonna say too, man. I don't know if you heard the episode you weren't on, but I said the same thing about Marty Skovlin in particular when people were going after Black Rifle Coffee for the New York Times article. And I was saying, Marty is a guy that when his dad was dying of ALS, Marty said, hey, what's on your bucket list? Where do you want to go in the world? And he put his career on hold, put his life on hold, and he took his dad everywhere in the world that he wanted to. And I got to meet his dad, and the smile on his face, knowing he was going to die, knowing the clock was ticking, but that he was getting to spend these precious moments with his son. That's the guy Marty Skovlin is. So that was when I talked about it on the show where you weren't on, but when I saw all this stuff on social media that was like, oh, these scumbags at Black Rifle Coffee because you don't agree with some statement they made, like the guys I know in particular, I don't know Evan Hafery, but you do. The guys I know, like Marty, like Luke, have so much integrity that I don't care if you buy the coffee or not. They're not a sponsor of ours, but I will defend guys like Marty or Luke as just guys of honor and integrity forever.
And Evan is, Evan is a friend. Evan is the same. Evan's a tremendous individual. He has a lot of integrity. He's a good family man now. He really is tremendous. But yes, politicians do send young men off to die. But in that aspect, some of us young men, we chose that. That was the route. We know we're even though we may not think it, we know that the politicians don't have our backs. We're hoping our command has our backs. I think that's the difference now. Is back in then, General Patton did have my back. Yes, he was hard as fuck, but that guy was going to be there for me if I needed him. Where now we may have a softer, gentler command. They're not as mean as Ed Patton or as strong Azam or Crystal is, but they don't have our backs anymore. And that's where I do agree with that gentleman's statement. But it's the politicians never had our fucking backs ever. It didn't make a difference. I don't give a fuck going back to World War I. That's a given. We know that. The command has changed. So you don't have those commanders anymore like Patton that will go above and beyond for his troops and tell whoever's in just the SecDef, hey, fuck you. I'm doing what I want to do to help my boys. You have command now that's going to say, you know what? No, I need to get my career up. I've got to go into politics after this. I've got to make sure I toe the line instead of doing the right thing. Extortion 17. There you go. That's kind of, we didn't mean to do that, guys. That's just full circle. So, but what I'm saying also to this gentleman here is that don't feel bad for the youngsters. And he may have been one of them. Maybe he would when he was younger. Don't feel bad for the youngsters going over because, like myself, because of stories like that I had that it touches me that much that I do tear up, not in a bad way though. It reminds me of a good day that I had and I got back alive that day. I got out of that area safely and we completed the mission. And at least for a moment, I feel like I made a friend and I let an Iraqi see that Americans aren't over there just there to kill and maim and destroy, that we actually have a heart and we really do care about them. So, yeah.
No, that says a lot. And like you said, those guys that I know are great people of honor. And you don't get to see those stories. All right. So this next one is from Scott T. I think he's another very long time listener. I was wondering if Chris has any plans to write another book. He mentioned in a past episode of possibly doing one with the photos he had taken over the years. I think it would be cool to see the photos and read some stories about them. You can count me in for a copy. If that pre-sold copy sways your decision at all. And then he says, Ian, would you consider interviewing the band Fire Tiger at some time on the show? You got me hooked on their music, so you kind of owe me. You guys get some winter merch. It gets a little cold for just a t-shirt during Wisconsin winters. Battleline Podcast is the reason Mondays don't suck. Stay awesome, guys. That's a few questions here. We'll go through them quickly because we got so many more questions. The first of which, are you going to write another book?
Down the line. And I do want to, I've always wanted to do like a coffee table book with the pictures, and it's of me. Some of them will be of me overseas. A lot of those I post on Instagram, guys. I haven't seen it, but what I want to do is everywhere that I go on my travels in the United States speaking, I go running. And I take pictures, and I think they're awesome. And I love the architecture, but again, it's showing the beauty when everybody's, America's on fire, America's on fire. It shows the beauty of places that it's not on fire. Showing the difference between Gillette, Wyoming and downtown Houston, and showing it from a runner's point of view, or a sunset in Kansas versus a sunset on Naples. When I'm running. I'd love to with the story and maybe because I still remember, I'll see a picture and I'll remember what I was thinking. So I think so. But whenever I can be home for more than 2 weeks at a time. So definitely.
That would be cool. Yeah. All right. So then the second question for me, interview the band Fire Tiger. Yeah, they're really good. I really got into them. And I found out about them on Instagram, and I sometimes am surprised that people even care about me, getting them into new music on Instagram. I'll just post it because I'm like, this is fucking awesome. But I came across them and I like the fact that they're still doing shows on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles, or were pre all the COVID stuff. I don't know if I'd have them on though, just because honestly, I don't know if many people would care besides you. You know what I mean? Like, I would want to interview them, but I just know what you guys click on the most, and you guys love special operations vets and, you know, people in that community, firearms instructors like Jade Struck. Yeah. And, you know, occasionally we'll have that type of stuff. So maybe a show that Chris is out or something. Every now and again, I switch it up. But yeah, they're cool. Check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, could you guys get some winter merch? That was the third question.
You know, on Battleline, sure, we'll get that. We just have to find. Thadia. I have winter merch on Thadia, the athletic company that they're tremendous. Thadia, and actually Thadia. Just to let you guys know, we may be starting Thadia and the owners. I was going to say this during our first question. Maybe starting their own social media site. So
wow,
that's something to look out for. And if they are, of course, I'll be a part of it. But on the winter merch, Thadia already has, and they have great stuff. It's tremendous. I was the pictures you see me of Instagram. I was running out in the middle of the winter in Minnesota in their gear. So obviously it's warm. But we'll get some. Yeah, we'll get some Battleline stuff. I just need to find what a good because I don't want to make just off crappy clothing.
I agree.
We got to find a good sweats, good tops, and who makes the best. I don't think Next Level makes that kind of stuff. They do make great T-shirts, but we'll find some. But definitely, oh yeah, definitely. I live in Kansas. I in an undisclosed location in Kansas, so we'll get some. And of course, Ian lives in New York. Well, shit, you don't have to worry about it here in a little while, so never mind.
Yeah, I know. I'll be back though. I'll be back. Although I don't know if I want to be back during the winter months here. I might get so used to the warm weather. All right, I told you we got some conspiracy-minded stuff, so we'll get into that. This is another question here. Dear Chris Peranto, I will get to the question at the end of a brief intro. I joined the Navy in 70. 6-month delayed program, active January 7th, 1971 to 1974. Mm-hmm. Spent 1 day and night in Da Nang, TAD for my first station, San Miguel Pai. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I held the top secret clearance as a CTO or teleport operator, joined the National Guard in 81 as an MP with a secret clearance, federalized in November 1990 for Desert Storm. After Desert Storm, my unit's mission was reorganized and my military police slot disappeared. I was offered the combat engineer slot, but had to take the 10 class and then the NCO advanced class as a CBT engineer, both in Kill Devil Lake, North Dakota. I kept the SFC slot for 2 years, and soon as I got my 20-year letter, I retired. That's my timeline of military service. We both know Hillary and the CIA overthrew Libya and were running the missiles out of Benghazi to the rebels, or Al-Qaeda turned into ISIS-Daesh. One of those missiles was used to shoot down the Chinook helicopter in Afghanistan with 30 of our SEALs on board. I was present in the secure area of Special Operations Warfare, Norfolk, Virginia, to see my nephew get promoted. After the ceremony, we walked back and stopped by the 9/11 Memorial and the tribute to the SEALs we lost. I looked hard at the chunk of the steel at the back of the garden and just about cried. Knowing what I know about explosives, here's the question. Can you or any of your SEAL buddies confirm that the steel memorial from the Twin Towers was cut by explosives? It may be the only evidence left to support the theory that planes did not bring the towers down. Yeah, I know it seems far-fetched, but my distrust of the government is at an all-time high. Thank you for your service, Chris. SFC, Dennis Davenport, retired.
First class. That the only person I'd be is somebody that's a metallurgical expert. I would not know. As far as the, I don't blame his distrust for the government. I distrust him too. But the thing is, though, is I just turn him off. I don't keep feeding into it, whether it's negative or positive. With you knowing what's going on, local government, I think is important. Watching the media as far as to find out what's going on in the federal government, you're going to get tons of misinformation. So, I mean, stay alert. Like Ian says, hey, know what's going on a bit, but don't go down that rabbit hole with them, because that's what they want you to do. And of course, this is where it brings you. It brings you to where you got this huge distrust for the federal government and the CIA. Well, so do I. I know they're full of shit. But I don't need to continue to watch what they're doing to know that they're.
But are you in a? I mean, I'm just curious because I'm not. I mean, are you in agreement that explosives brought down the tower.
No, the towers. I really do believe that the towers came down by the jets. And guys, that's what missiles do. I mean, that's what an airliner is. That fuel and how it heats up. Again, I'm not a meteorological help me. I don't know why I'm tongue tied. Meteorological I'm not a metal.
I don't even know what the word.
Metallurgical. But on
I learned a new word.
Yeah, no, they're metallurgical. I think is what.
Okay, God, I don't even know the word.
Yeah, no, that's it melts. It does it. It destroys the steel and yeah, of course it was come down by an exploding plane. Brought it.
Yeah, because I've always heard and here's the thing: when I say I don't believe any of those conspiracies on how the towers came down, I'm also not someone who's just like, oh, I heard the official story, this must be what happened. I mean, there's been a ton of documentaries about this stuff, and there's been a lot of stuff either debunked or I mean, there's a lot that happened on 9/11. Of course, I know that, as they say, you can't melt steel beams with jet fuel. That's always been one of the arguments, but I think the argument I've heard on the other side is it could weaken those steel beams enough to melt them down. And then the Building 6 stuff, I do believe that building was hit by chunks of burning building. And I know people watched it and said it looks like a controlled demolition. I think a lot of things look like certain things, but they're not. And then like the biggest conspiracy theory of them all, and I think it just has more to do with the time, but I understand why people have questions, is there's no video of the Pentagon being hit by a plane, and I think if that happened 5 years later, where all of us had cell phones, where there was surveillance footage, but it was so choppy that you don't see anything. You can't really make out what it was. But I will say I do personally believe the official story in terms of that. I don't know your feeling. I mean, I do believe there's nefarious stuff in terms of why did we go into Iraq when none of those people were in Iraq? Those are totally different questions. The fact that bin Laden was being hidden in Pakistan and we totally dropped the ball in Pakistan. But in terms of what went down that way, I mean, that day, I do believe those guys were trained in America and we lost sight of the ball, and Bill Clinton was weak on terrorism, and we had a new president who just came into office. But I'm by no means saying, we had Adam Kokesh on the show and he would agree with this guy. I'm not into censoring anybody who feels that way. I just haven't seen the conclusive evidence to say things didn't happen the way that we saw them.
I'm in agreement. Again, I'm not going to ever. It's that opinion, and if it came if it came out down the line that said, hey, yeah, we actually did that, subverted so we could go into war. Which again, I know our politicians suck, but to that extreme. To go in and to kill that many people just so we can go into a war to what end? I mean, I don't get what the reason would be for that. But if it did come out that way, it wouldn't shock me either. That's the sad thing, is it should shock the shit out of me. It wouldn't, but I don't think that's what happened. I think the planes brought them down. My opinion, just from watching it, and again, I'm with you, Ian. I don't have the evidence to support that. And with
and by the way, I've watched it a lot of it. One guy they always bring out is that guy who worked in the basement as a janitor, and he says, I heard the explosives go off, but my feeling was always, well, you could hear a lot of things that sound like something that it's not. I never thought that was really much of a convincing argument.
Well, and regardless of whatever, people died on it, and terrorists took responsibility for it. And Osama bin Laden did have the assets, and he had the mindset, and he had the time to put something like that together. And he wasn't a dumb guy. He wasn't dumb. And he was very well educated, from a well-educated family with a fuckload of money from Saudi Arabia, or was it Kuwait? I get one of them big oil ass countries. So they had the asset, he had the ability, he had the time. And you're right, as far as losing the ball, we got complacent. We thought we were untouchable. It was right place, right time for an attack, and it was pulled off. It was pulled off with tremendous accuracy, and it came. I think it even did more than what they intended it to do. But it was.
I mean, we're still paying the price in terms of I always think of this. This is a weird way to think of pre 9/11 and post 9/11, and this is just from my perspective. Because a lot of if we have younger listeners, they don't really know the difference in America pre 9/11, post 9/11. They never went through an airport and didn't have to take off their shoes. And the big thing I always think of is I remember the summer before 9/11, I went to go see a great concert, by the way, Pantera, Slayer, Static X, Morbid Angel, and Scrape at Nassau Coliseum. The reason I bring this up, though, is it was probably 2 months before 9/11. And I called my dad to pick me up, actually, because the people who drove me over there, they were like drinking. I said to my dad, I was like, I don't think this is a good idea. You want to come?
You are a responsible motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, he told me to always do that. And my dad says, I remember I walked in that place with no one patted me, like in Nassau Coliseum. I walked right through the door. No one patted me down. No metal detector. No issue at all. I got right in the building. No one thought twice about it. No security, nothing. And 2 months later, that all changed.
Yeah, it made us it made us closer to what the rest of the world was already going through. I don't believe your brother, Sergeant First Class, you're some crazy nut or anything.
And I'm not saying that either. I understand why people have questions about all that.
And I do too. And I don't trust or even like the government. And I worked for them for many years. As far as the other stuff we were moving. I don't think it wasn't just missiles. We were moving weapon systems, Gaddafi's arms to help overthrow Assad in Syria, and we were giving weapon systems to Ansar Sharia. Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb was there. So I think that information you guys just a little tad off. I don't believe it was just AQI. AQI didn't turn into Daesh, didn't turn into ISIS. Those militias there in Libya, parts of different terrorist organizations became ISIS as a conglomerate. And Ansar Sharia was a big one. So yes, you are accurate there. That is right. But to say that one of those SA-7s or something like that took down the Extortion 17, which is what he's talking about. One of those missiles was transported from Libya to make it. No, I don't believe that. How can you keep? They don't have that sort of. We couldn't even do that. Well, here, let's mark this SA-7. Okay, let's send it to Afghanistan, and you don't only break in case of emergency. Only break if we have a great target to take out. That's where we're going to use it. I don't think that's accurate. But yes, we were moving weapon systems, definitely, and. Yes, a weapon, and I think it was an RPG that took down that Extortion 17 Chinook. We saw it did that to Black Hawk Down. They got good at practicing that. That was Osama bin Laden that helped them do that. Got smart with how to use an RPG to take down an aircraft because it's not made for that. It doesn't have fins, so you can't control it. And also, if you go too far back, the back blast that comes out of RPG-7 could blow your fucking leg off and could kill you. But he's the one that learned and trained them down the line, and they started getting good in 1993 in Somalia. They figured it out, and then they got better and better and better. So I don't believe it was and I could be wrong. I thought it was an RPG-7, an RPG that took out the Extortion 17, not a surface-to-air missile, which is what Gaddafi had fucking loads of. SA-7s is what we call them. They're man-pads, man-portable weapon systems. You're brother, you're not far off on a lot of stuff. I'm not totally in agreement with everything but I am in agreement with, their government or any government for that matter. You really can't trust many anymore. And we do our best, but we're seeing it more and more that it's harder to give our full trust to them because they're not always giving us the full truth. Benghazi's another example of that.
Yeah.
They could have just told the truth. I don't think the truth would have. Obama probably would have lost the election at that time because Al-Qaeda definitely wasn't on the run. But politics before patriotism. I said that. I don't know where I came up with that, Jim. I came up with that during a Fox News. I said they put politics before patriots. I still stand by that. Politics always come before patriotism. And in a sense, that's what you're saying. And I completely agree with that. And I can't fully trust my government anymore. I have personal experience that doesn't allow me to.
The only thing I'm curious, you really think it would have sunk the election? Because the only reason I'm not sure if I agree is just I don't think enough people care about the military. I mean, because when you think about the fact that how many people serve? What is it like? It's very small percent. Unfortunately.
But if you go back, it was closer than at that time. It was extremely close. No, but you're right. I'm armchair quarterbacking it, brother. So I think it would have made it a lot closer. I think there would have been the possibility of a higher possibility of Romney winning and Obama not winning. And obviously they were worried about the narrative because that's why they changed it. So obviously somebody within their camp, just because of what happened, said, "Hey, this could hurt us. It could have hurt worse." So yeah, I don't want to go in absolutes. I agree with you, brother.
No, yeah. Actually, you know what I want to ask you real quick, because now that we're talking about this, I never asked you this, and it is related to Benghazi, and I've never heard your take on it. When they lied about Benghazi and they blamed it on a YouTube video, that stupid YouTube video that didn't even have that many views. It was, something making fun of Islam, and it was, people with like towels on their head. Remember that guy got like audited? Didn't go to jail, right?
He did.
For tax.
He did, but he's out and he's in hiding in California. Actually, our friend Holly McKay was friends with him.
Oh, really?
On the show, and
so here's what I'm wondering: do you think he legitimately went to jail for evading taxes, or was he targeted? I've never asked you.
I think he was targeted. I think also he probably was evading taxes, so he had loose ends. That's why I don't have loose ends. If you're gonna be this guy that's spouting off shit, don't have loose ends, because they'll find it, and that's what they do. And to say that the IRS is not one of the, I think the IRS is one of the most lethal arms of the U.S. government because of things and they're so massive and they can do that. So I agree with that. I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think that's completely legitimate, and it was a loose end, and he did go to prison. And then after he got out, he was ridiculed so much. He was hiding. Last time I talked to Holly, and this was a while ago about it.
Dude, we got to get him on the show.
Yeah, we get with Holly. She may know him. She may know where he's at. But a pastor felt sorry for him in Southern California and was actually allowed him to live at the church. And he was actually hiding out in a church in LA, right outside LA. But that was years ago. Holly would know. Holly knows, and I think she even actually talked to the guy and did an interview with him. And I remember her telling me we were at it was quite a few years ago. We're in LA and we're having dinner. Her and me and a bunch of our friends. I just got done doing something for Paramount at the time. And we're at a hookah bar. She loves smoking hookah. She loves the Middle East.
I've seen her smoking cigars.
Smoking and hookah.
She still has like good teeth somehow.
I know. She's a Pepsodent. I don't know. But she did say, she said, I talked to him, and his whole life since then is turned upside down. And now he's penniless, broke, can't find work, and he was living in a church off the good Samaritan pastor of that church because he couldn't afford to. So yeah, his life was fucked. They fucked him over. And when I say they, yes, the U.S. government. I do believe they targeted him, but he wasn't an easy person to target. I mean, got to find something. I think very well they could target me and Oz and Tig if they wanted to. I don't think me anymore because, again, I disliked those people that were in because of the personal experience I had. I don't care for our government, but I'm not very fully trusting of them all. I do think still, though, that we have the best government in the world, even with going on right now. But since from that, aside from us just discussing it here, I don't get and do rants and get it all there. And so I and honestly, it's like, hey, leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. I want nothing to do with politics. Just want to try to be good to other people and answer their questions. And you and I put on the best show we can here. So
absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right. So this will be the last question for part one, and then we'll go into part two for you guys, which you'll hear next week. All right. So this is from Cindy. Chris, how do you fix your fucking shit? I listen to your podcasts religiously because you make me laugh and because of your ability to share your stories and your real emotions, which you did just recently.
Yeah.
Your guests share as well, and and like a sponge, I suck it up. My path is similar to yours, traumatic in a parallel kind of way, but mine was not by choice. Not to overshare, I was kidnapped by a member of a group from Little Creek and missing for months. So now I listen and learn how you and others process your events, and it's motivating to me. After listening to your show with Rudy Reyes, I heard you say that you were told to fix your fucking shit a while back. Loved it. How about a Proverbs by Tonto or tips from Tonto to do that? Keep up the great work, Cindy. And wow, that's a crazy story.
That is. Actually, we have a thing called Tontoisms.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Tonto's on Instagram.
That has actually turned into a fan page. It's run by Audacious Andy, who's been a huge supporter, and she's tremendous.
Who's recovering from COVID?
Yeah, that's what she says. Andy, fix your shit, dude. Get out of bed, go work out. Tough love with you. But no, she's also a huge contributor to the 14th Hour Foundation. She's one of the reasons why it does so well. She's an awesome person. But really fixing your shit essentially is just putting that past behind you and just starting with the new, scrubbing whatever negatives that you have. And you're always going to have them. I think people think that they're just going to disappear. I still have those negative things that I did or negative people in my life. Yeah, they still come in my mind every once in a while, but I don't let them affect me. It's a memory. It is good and bad. It's still a memory, and you can make it a good memory because maybe you learn from it. Whatever you got kidnapped, I get, man, I've never been kidnapped. I don't even know how that would feel, but that fear, I'm sure you have some paranoia. I'm sure you have some fear of going out by yourself or being in places alone. I'm not saying you have to go do that to break that fear. You just have to realize that, okay, that happened. I just may have to be a little bit more situationally aware. What's going on in my surroundings? Maybe, you don't have to carry a gun, but carrying a knife or something where at least you feel comfortable, and then knowing how to use it. But the biggest thing is just being more aware and understanding, that happened, going through your head, what happened prior to that. So you start looking for indicators. That's what we talk on the risk assessment side. What happened? And there are always specific things that maybe you missed because you were oblivious to them at the time because you didn't think something like that would happen. Look back at it, and I know it may bring up some bad memories, but look back at it and start looking for, not as the memories, but looking at indicators, looking at it from a methodical, tactical point of view. What happened that got me kidnapped? What did I not do? Was I looking down? Was I not looking around? Was I in a place that I was alone in a dark alley? Start understanding what you didn't do correctly, and that starts to turn the positives on.
And I was just looking back in the email because she doesn't say at what age, but depending on what age too. I mean, if it was as a really young kid, which is for many people, that's kind of out of your control, and you probably don't remember exactly what happened. And
that's the thing on the positive side of there. Now you aren't a really young kid, so the probability of that happening to you as an adult,
but that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it was as an adult. I don't know if it was as a kid. That's I don't know.
I guess I'm just putting it in perspective. I will always live with and we've talked about it on the show before, with some form of security, and I don't want to call it paranoia, but situational awareness. I'm always looking around. We had it on the show recently where we took our kids and we went stopped at the Dairy Queen in a place that it wasn't the best place, and there's things around it in an area. So I went into security mode, but I still was able to hold my son, and I still was able to order ice cream, and I still had fun, but I still was also on a little bit more of an alert. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself. But when I say fix yourself or fucking fix yourself, when my buddy said to me to do that, I was always feeling sorry for myself. That's why I said it. So if you're always feeling sorry for yourself for what happened, fix your fucking self. Stop it. All right. You are stronger than that. You can learn from the experience. You're going to be stronger from it because you're learning from the experience, and it's never going to happen to you again, or the probability of it happening to you again is going to be minimized because of those things that you just did. You became stronger. You became a better person because you know what to look for, a better tactician or more situation aware, and you're positive. This shit's not going to happen to me again. All right. A lot of times we can say things in our head and will it to happen. We can. So again, but the bottom line is just don't feel sorry for yourself. That's the biggest thing, is people feel sorry for themselves and they go down that rabbit holes and they're never able to come out of them. Well, stop it. That's the fix your fucking self. That's where that comes from the community. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, shithead. Get your ass up. Get your ass up off your knees. Keep walking and get stronger. It's up to you. And then you go into the tactician mode of, okay, well, what did I do wrong? I do my review. What can I do better next time so this doesn't happen again? And then live my daily life like that. But don't try to forget it, because you're never going to forget traumatic experiences. You never are. but use them as a positive to learn from, then it turns lemons into lemonade. That's my 2 cents. I don't know if you have any. I don't know, bro. What do you think? Maybe I'm way off.
No, that's you know what I think of our friends Cavino and Rich. Cavino always says, "Turn dilemmas into lemonade." I've always heard him say.
Didn't he just have a stripper at his birthday? I saw that on.
He did.
And I was listening to him on the ride home from Sirius on X. He's on XM.
They aren't anymore, but he's still doing the music stuff. So maybe he did. That's funny. I don't. But
great guy.
Yeah, that was a great email, great response. And you know what else it made me think of? Really, I don't know if you know about that. Were you a Bone Thugs and Harmony fan?
Oh, I love Bone Thugs. Thuggish Ruggish Bone, dude. That's Eazy-E's prodigy.
It's the Thuggish Ruggish Bone.
Yeah. Did you know Busy Bone was kidnapped as a kid and molested, and he was on America's Most Wanted as a kid, and someone who watched America's Most Wanted found the guy who kidnapped him.
I think I saw that on it was one of those documentaries about them, or maybe when Eazy-E died, they had a documentary and they were in it. I heard that. Yeah. That's crazy now. And nobody's going to kidnap his ass now. If I kick the shit out.
Probably would.
Yep. Yeah. No,
well, thank you.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm clearing my throat and there's a delay. Sorry, guys. We are all fucked up over here. We are going to try this again.
It's just a minor delay. What were you saying?
No. You're good. I was finishing up. About the Thuggish Ruggish Bones getting kidnapped, and he started talking. So we're good, dude. We're good.
And in his case, he was a really little kid, and it's like I don't know if there's anything to learn from that, because you can't really. There are rare circumstances, but if someone wants to kidnap a 5-year-old kid, it's going to be pretty hard to fight back, So I would have to know your age, but it sounds like. That you could get on the right path again and not let this, taint the rest of your life and allow whoever this person was to steal your joy for the rest of your life. Don't give them that power.
And that's what fix your fucking self means right there. Seriously, that's what it means. We just say it in a more non-PC way. That's exactly what it means. Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed this part 1 of Battleline Podcast Q&A. You'll hear part 2 next week. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and never give up.
That's all for this episode of the Battleline Podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American straight talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.